Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Park Life. Coming up on today's show, David Gribble looks at Exeter City Women's start to the season, Will Barrett looks back at historical clashes with Cambridge, and Rory McArdle answers your questions. But first, let's take a look back at last weekend's win over Mansfield Town.
Joshua Key moves the ball back into midfield to Taylor. There is a big shout here for handball. Interesting to watch this replay back. Clipped forward to the edge of the penalty area. Strike the top of the arm. Mansfield free kick delivered in and glanced away for a Mansfield corner. Lofted ball into the area from Clark. Might be a chance here. There is a chance here. And it's turned in by Meneyese. Sent plenty of bodies forwards. It was a devilish free kick, goalkeeper committed, and it's McArdle who claims it, and Exeter are level. Well, the keeper here came for the ball, completely misjudged the flight of it. Eric Steck caught out, and it looks as though actually that might be an own goal. Pressure from McArdle, but it's Rawson who gets the final touch. Header recovered by Meneyese, but it's Exeter now who might be able to break. Forward comes the pacey Randall. Randall cuts it back into a good area, and Williams draws the save. Exeter corner, deep into the penalty area. Turn back into the danger zone here, and there's a looping header which crashes into the roof of the net over the head of Steck, and Exeter have come behind and lead 2-1, and it's Key who gets the final touch. Well, it was Joshua Key's run that really led to the corner kick, and then just brilliantly to somehow directly kick glanced on, and that is the final whistle. Exeter managed to secure their first league win of the season.
Goalkeeper Lewis Ward has been in the net for all three of City's 3 league games so far. We spoke to our shot stopper on his thoughts on Saturday's game.
Going into the game, it's going to be difficult, but we know that we've got the quality in the team and the depth in the squad to put in a good performance and a good result.
We saw at Mansfield, which was obviously a fantastic away win, that other than their goal, I think we were pretty defensively strong, and that must have been pleasing.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't kept a clean sheet in a long time, which is not concerning because we're playing well, but we need to eradicate those small mistakes that are making us concede, and we need to make sure that we're solid at the back and it gives the boys up front a platform to go and score. And obviously it's a lot more difficult for them when we concede 1-0 early on and they have to go and score 2. So we need to make sure that we're nice and tight at the back and we're nice and solid. And as you said, the Mansfield game, they didn't really create a lot apart from the goal. So if we can maybe stop those odd moments and odd goals, then possibly we can go on to keep clean sheets and win games more comfortably.
We also caught up with the boss, Matt Taylor, who hopes his side can build on last weekend's positive result at Field Mill.
So it's an exciting fixture. They've scored a large amount of goals in quick succession so far this season and not conceded any goals. So certainly, like I say, a strong start to the season from them. But we're on the back of a confidence-building performance last week at Mansfield, and we're looking forward to this weekend. And
they've shown the firepower they have away from home, winning 5-0 at Morecambe and scalping Birmingham in the Cup. But they've also got some Premier League experience in Wes Hoolahan.
Yeah, is he the same age as me?
Yeah.
What a huge achievement for him to still be playing and still be playing at such a competitive level. His quality has always been there. He's been such a good manipulator of the football. So it's great to see him. I remember playing against him when Norwich got promoted from League One. And he was a serious player back then. So he's had a stellar career since then, played in the Premier League. And the fact that he's still got the hunger and motivation to get up in the morning and play is testament to the character he is. And he's one of many threats they've got this weekend. But my focus certainly isn't on Cambridge. We've covered what they hold. My focus is on my group of players. And I've got some players who can do similar sort of attributes and have a similar effect on the game. And I'm looking forward to seeing them play this weekend.
I just want to ask you then, actually, was Wes a difficult player to play against?
I never got close enough to him. Luckily, he was never directly up against me. but he was certainly a good player. And like I say, he moved that ball in a serious fashion. So I was never close enough, luckily enough.
Yeah, so looking back at Mansfield, which is a brilliant away win, there's so many positives that we can build on from that game, isn't there?
There is, but in football, you quickly move on. We quickly moved on from Port Vale. We knew exactly where we needed to improve. And Mansfield, we put that behind us. There's still areas we need to improve on the back of the Mansfield performance. So there's always the next in football, and the next happened to be a friendly game on Monday, and then after that, the next is Cambridge. So your focus quickly shifts away from what has happened in terms of and in relation to what happens next. And the lads have trained pretty well this week. Positive to get some minutes in some of those lads who needed the game time on Monday. And we've got a better group to select from this weekend. A couple of question marks in relation to a couple of niggles, but we're getting stronger and stronger, and that's going to be so important with so many fixtures to come.
Well, that you've touched on my next question there, and that was obviously after Monday. How are we looking in terms of the fitness levels and the injuries?
We're looking good, but obviously last Friday, Alex Fisher pulled up with a hamstring strain of some sort or some issue there. He's settled down pretty quickly, so it's a race against time for him to be fit this weekend. He's another option for us, certainly at the top end of the pitch. Jacob Priest got through the 90 minutes, Alex Hartridge 50 minutes, but then Piers Sweeney came off early on with an ankle injury. So that's the way football works. A couple of players getting back to availability, and then you might lose one or two players along the way. So that's why the squad's so important. But I've said time and time again, I think there's 8 fixtures in October. And that month's literally just starting. So lots of games to come, and we need everyone ready and prepared to play.
Still to come. City fan Dan talks about his thoughts on today's game against Cambridge, and Scott Walker from the Community Trust talks about the club's traineeship programmes. But first, here's Lewis Ward with his lowdown on his teammates.
Who would you least like to be in lockdown with?
Least like to be in lockdown with? Probably Ben Seymour, Jack Sparks.
Who would you most
intellectual conversation there is not great. And I think just the silly comments would just get annoying after a while. Yeah. Either one of them, they're on par. I couldn't pick between them, but yeah, one or the other.
And who would you most like to be in lockdown with?
Most likely to be in lockdown with. I'd say Rory, my roommate. On away trips, we have a lot of conversations. We get on quite well, and I think we'd have good conversations, and we'd sport. Yeah, Rory.
Who would most likely go on the Great British Bake Off?
MJ. Yeah, I think he'd do well on that. I don't know how much of a baker he is, but
We'll have to
he looked like he
think.
could. Yeah, I think he could do well.
Who would most likely win Love Island?
I think they'll get voted out within like the first 2 weeks. I don't think there's any winners in there. It's tough to think who would actually go on there. If I had to pick one, I reckon Joel could do quite well. I don't know if he'd win, but he'd definitely be in and around it.
Who would make the best TV presenter?
Obviously, I've done my degree, but I don't think presenting is my talent. I think more side room punditry rather than.
We won't see you on Park Life anytime soon. Then.
Huh?
We won't see you on Park Life anytime soon.
If I get the invite, I might do a little bit. Sweens, I'd go with Sweens. He's got a bit of a personality, a bit of character, so I reckon Sweens could do quite a good job on, I don't know, This Morning or something like that.
Who's the most vain?
Vain. It's got to be the young lads again. Couldn't tell you between Seymour and Joel. One of them may have or may not use tanning moisturiser, so we'll wherever it finds itself.
Now, the next one, bear in mind, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but what Joel Randall said. Who's the worst dressed?
Oh, I'm glad you asked this. I wanted to address this. He always thinks I wear red. So
Did say that.
I don't wear full red suits. I don't wear full red jeans, shirt, shoes. One item or another may sometimes be red. It's not my fault. It just happens. Worst gear, Bowman. Yeah, Bowman.
Who never gets around in?
Around in, probably me. Yeah, no, it's not. It's probably me.
Who Who has done the worst initiation song?
Worst initiation song? I was probably up there, a bit monotone. Trying to think now, who? Jake Caprice wasn't great. Yeah, it was enjoyable until it wasn't. And
What did he go for?
can't remember. It was almost one of those, just
Wanted it to be over.
yeah. So he got his over and done with, which was quite nice. But yeah, he was up there.
Who's the club joker?
Club joker, Nicky Law. He does like to pull a prank here and there. He's on the fines committee as well, which probably isn't the best when he's trying to set people up to lose and fail. And yeah, Nicky Law.
And who's Mr. Grumpy?
There's a few boys that are a bit upset when they don't get offered their morning coffees. There is a coffee group in there, and some of them, if they don't get their morning coffees, they aren't the happiest.
You can name names.
I'm not going to name names. They know who they are. So whoever's in that coffee group, if they don't get their morning coffee, they are tough to be around for the next 20 minutes.
The last one then. You're playing, but you're forced off the field, and we've made all 3 subs. Who goes in goal?
That almost basically happened last year, but I had to stay on. Who goes in goal? That is a horrible question.
Obviously, we hope this doesn't happen, but
obviously, fingers crossed this doesn't happen. But it depends who. I've seen a few boys think they can be goalies, but they dive out of the way of the ball. You probably just go for size. I reckon we have to go Bowman up front. I reckon Fish could do a job, actually. Fish could do a decent job. Yeah.
Like I said, let's hope this doesn't happen. But
obviously, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if it did. Thanks, Lewis. That's all of them.
No worries.
Next up, here's club historian Will Barrett as he looks back at previous encounters with Cambridge United.
Looking at the history of matches between us and our opponents this weekend, there's certainly one game that needs no archive for an introduction. Back in May 2008, City faced the U's at Wembley in the Blue Square Premier Playoff Final, of course with the Grecians running out victorious thanks to Rob Edwards' bullet header in the 21st minute. In recent years, since Matt Taylor took over the side in 2018, we played our opponents on no less than 6 occasions in league and cup matches, winning 4, drawing 1 and losing just 1 of those fixtures. The last time that we met was at the Park in January 2020, where City ran out 2-0 winners thanks to goals from Randell Williams and Ryan Bowman to keep us challenging at the top end of the table. Historically, though, our opponents have a slight edge, winning 27 games to our 23, with 14 draws between the sides since we first played in 1970. Whether it will be the historic record or the recent form that will win the day is yet to be seen, but it's sure to be another competitive game between 2 quality sides in Sky Bet League 2 this weekend.
Rory McArdle was unlucky to not score his first City goal last weekend at Mansfield. By the way, it was his goal. We caught up with him as he answered a selection of your questions.
Started talking about life in Devon, so this looks like a good one to start with. Alistair Yates asked, what's the best beach you found so far in Devon?
I think if it was just me going to the beach, I would say I quite like Budley, even though I don't know if you can class that as a beach, seeing as it's full of pebbles. But then we took the little ones down to Dawlish, so there was a little theme park and stuff there. So that was great for them. They entertained themselves. But I think looking at the ones we've been to, we're spoilt for choice a little bit as well. And the wife and kids went to Teignmouth, is it Teignmouth, that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
And she spoke really highly of that, so hopefully I'll venture down there and see if we can add another one to the list.
Yeah, there's plenty of places to explore. You're going to love it. Paul Diamond, he says that you're going to take the defender out of the equation, so next time it doesn't go down as an own goal.
That would be ideal. Yeah, I did my best to claim it. I just didn't want to try and foul him and ref give a foul. I think as the ball was coming in, he was always struggling to try and get out of the way of it. So I just tried to make sure he got his body on it and it went in. And I did my best to claim it, but there's too many cameras now at games, isn't there?
It's frustrating, isn't it? We'd let you have it if we could. We would let you have it. At the other end, Daniel Lewis says, who is your dream centre-back partner? And I'll just add, there's no obligation to pick any of your current teammates or your manager. Who is your dream centre-back partner?
I would say he's not. What, does he have to still be playing, or?
Oh, it could be anyone.
Anyone. I think I'd go Vidic. I think when he was at Man U, he just headed everything, didn't he? And if the ball wasn't there, he just cleaned the man out and defended properly and chipped in with his fair few goals as well. I think it could have been Ferdinand as well, but them two together were pretty untouchable at times. So I think if I had to pick one, I'd go Nemanja Vidic.
I think that's a strong shout. In reference to the manager, Ozzy S asks, what is Matt like after a loss?
I think it depends on the performance as well a little bit. I think you can accept losing, but there's obviously a way to go about it. There's going to be games where we have been the better team and for whatever reason we've not managed to get the win. But I think when you start questioning whether it's individual performances, collective performances, if you're not running around enough or pulling out tackles, then I think that's when it becomes a bit frustrating. There's sort of basics that you expect from everybody, regardless whether you win, lose or draw. So I think if it was a case where we'd not competed and things like that, I think then obviously the gaffer would be a bit annoyed. But if it's just one of them days, sometimes you have to hold your hands up, try and take the positives out from it and move on to the next one.
Nicely answered. Speaking of Vidic and Matt Taylor, Grecian Hub asks, who's the hardest player you've come up against in your career?
I think one of the ones would be Benteke when he was at Aston Villa in the cup run. I just remember trying to head a ball and just heading the back of his head, and I thought I hurt myself a little bit, and he didn't even flinch. He just batted it off. It's like nothing had even happened, and I just thought this could be an interesting game, and he was a bit of a handful, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. You don't want to be heading the back of his head, do you? Daniel Richter asked what the capital of Peru is, but everyone knows that's Lima, so Lima. We'll just leave that one.
Yeah.
A few people have also asked this question, which is, who is the fastest player in the team?
It's funny, it's a good time to ask that because we did a few drills today. I think majority might go no anyway, but I'd say Randall is probably the quickest, even though it looks like he's not really trying, but he's still yards in front of everybody else, which makes it look quite frustrating, to be honest, when you see how he just glides across and he's miles in front. So I think if he were to try, I'd dread to think how far ahead he would be.
He's pretty rapid, isn't he?
Yeah.
Where we are with this one. Okay, Merin831 says, who would you like in a five-a-side match? I guess I like this question. It's who would sort of your dream five-a-side team be? Of course, you'd include yourself, wouldn't you? So which
maybe not in five-a-side. Not much heading in that.
Who would you go for? What would your dream five-a-side team?
We'll probably have to go obvious to Messi, Ronaldo at the top. I think we'll go Scholes in the middle. We'll go, and then at the back we'll go 2-1-2 formation. Oh, is that 5 including a goalie or 5?
You've got to stick someone in goal, haven't you?
6. So if I'm going, we'll go goalie and play 2-1-1. So I'll go probably Peter Schmeichel. I'll go Vidic, seeing as we've already had him in. Probably Maldini. Then we'll go Scholes and Messi.
Oh, that's a team, innit? I love the Maldini pick as well.
Yeah,
such a classy defender. I think he used to defend games without even touching the ball.
Yeah, and he played left back, and I think he was right-footed as well, which shows how good he was.
Magical player.
Maybe that's where we've gone wrong, playing the wrong side.
Do you reckon that's what it is? That's what we've done there, isn't it? And then we have one from Mark Earl, which was, he said, please explain Fermat's principle for me. But unfortunately, Rory, we've run out of time. So
as if. Really?
I know, mate. I'm sure you would have loved to have answered that one.
That's a shame.
I'm afraid I couldn't have helped you with that. But we'll just have to leave that one, mate.
Yeah.
Rory, thank you so much for taking the time
No
to talk to
problem.
us today. It is really great to have you here at the club. And all the best to you. And, of course, the lads for this weekend's match.
Yep, no problem. Cheers, Will. Thanks very much.
Notice anything different about the St James's Road stand? We want to say a huge thank you to Track Suzuki, who have signed a 3-year deal to sponsor the away end. Your support is really appreciated.
Hi, my name's Scott Walker. I work for Exeter City Community Trust. I'm Deputy Head of Community. Part of my role is that I provide, I plan and I put on activities and clubs for 3-year-olds all the way up to vulnerable adults. And today I'm talking to you about our traineeship. Our current traineeship is called Train to Succeed. It's an employability traineeship which really focuses on getting people into the labour market. Our focus is 19 to 24-year-old adults who are not in education, employment or training. The programme that is based at St James's Park in the Grecian Centre, which is an amazing learning environment, involves lots of different things to get that young person work ready and really have the confidence to get into an interview or into the labour market. We offer lots of different opportunities to better yourself as an individual. So we work on digital skills, we work on functional skills. So you might be an entry level 3 and you maybe have a target of hitting a level 1 before moving on to the next step. Part of the Train to Succeed programme is that we work with the individual. There may be restrictions, there may be obstacles, there may be speed bumps that have got in the way of them having an interview or getting a job, and we try and develop them as a young person, not only as their health and well-being, but also as an individual. On Train to Succeed, an important part of the programme would be the work preparation. So CV writing, interview techniques, how to get yourself ready and plan for that interview. The young person will have to undertake 70 hours work experience in a professional organisation. At the end of the 70 hours, the organisation will give them an interview or a glowing reference. With regards to functional skills, it may be something that's stopping you getting that interview or maybe into a college course. Well, we have professional tutors that are going to help you overcome this. Part of the programme, we work with lots of local organisations and businesses, one being Barclays Bank, and they provide a very important and very useful money management activity. A large part of the course is online based, which means that the usernames and passwords can be given to each individual, so they don't have to be in the classroom to access the resources. If this all sounds good to you and you want to get involved, please get in contact with me as we're looking to start later on in the month.
It was a winning weekend for the men at Mansfield, but it was also a good one for City Women too, as they opened their season with a 4-2 win over Poole Town. Here's David Gribble to explain.
You've just recently started helping out with the coverage on the team. I mean, how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. Lots to do. I think it's an area at the club that we can kind of really improve upon and get more attention to the women's team. And they're a really good, enterprising, attacking side. And you know, if we can get more of our support involved in the journey that they're making at the moment, I think it would be really good.
And what starts the season as well, 4-2 victory over Poole Town ladies on Sunday. I mean, how did the game go?
Yeah, first 15 minutes not so good. We were 2 goals down, but the team never really became too flustered. Kept trying to play their football, created plenty of chances, and it just felt like the longer the game went on, they would eventually start taking some, and got levelled by half time and eventually went on to win by 4 goals to 2. So yeah, really good start to the season.
And what was the pick of the bunch of the goals, would you say?
The most pleasing thing was probably Esme, who got 2 goals. She's just come up from the development team this year, so it was really good. She was making a debut for the senior side. For her to get 2 goals, I think it was a really exciting start for her, and hopefully that will continue for the rest of the season.
And any other players that we should be watching out for in there? I mean, Malky Sharp is now captain, isn't she?
Yeah, I think there's so many good young players coming through. There's a lot of commitment in the side. A lot of young girls who are working really hard to develop their game and to improve. and I'm pretty sure that come the end of the season that improvement will really show in results. And yeah, it's an exciting time, I think, for the team.
And I mean, it's an opportunity for football fans to go down and see what it's all about at the moment. So they're kind of the only games they can really get to, aren't they?
Absolutely, it's live football. On Sunday it's the first live game that I've been to in over 6 months, I think, and can't beat it really. It's very different. You can get nice and close to the pitch. You really feel involved in the game, and anybody looking for a bit of live football, it's not too far to travel. Only £3 for adults, £1 for children, or concessions, and it's a really good opportunity to go and watch some football, and you can almost guarantee there'll be plenty of chances and plenty of goals.
Quite a good environment to take the families to, especially young families as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's the Clumpton, there's the social club there, so you can get drinks of various hot drinks and alcoholic drinks and all that good stuff. So yeah, you can go along and just enjoy the afternoon and watch a bit of football.
And what's coming up in the next couple of weeks for Exeter City Women?
So the team travel to Buckland on Thursday, and then they're at home to Southampton the following Sunday. So big Devon derby on Thursday evening, and then anybody looking to watch a bit of live football over the weekend, then get to Clumpton on Sunday at 2:00.
I'm assuming the Southampton women's team are probably one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah, there's two teams with Southampton. There's the Southampton FC, which are with the main football club, and then Southampton Women, who Exeter play on Sunday. So yeah, it should be a really entertaining game, and hopefully more goals.
Now we hear from City fan Dan, host of the Man in the Lion Mask podcast, as he looks ahead to today's game.
Hey Dan, or Man in the Lion Mask. I feel like we're unmasking you already here.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you run the Twitter account Man in the Lion Mask. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? What it came about and the kind of stuff you get up to on there.
Basically, yeah, it's a podcast that me and a mate run. Just from going to City games, we were talking about it in the pub afterwards and decided to have a bit of fun with it and start a podcast. It's pretty simple to do, actually. We had no experience going into it, and yeah, just set up a Twitter account, downloaded GarageBand, bought a microphone, and just kind of moved our chats from the pub into a podcast. So it's fun, and it's kind of developed a little bit over the past sort of 2 or 3 years that we've been doing it. So yeah, it's a good laugh, and this summer we had some guests on, including yourself as well. We also had David Gribble, who does all the blog posts that City fans will be familiar with, and Robbie Simpson as well, which was a really good chat. So yeah, if anyone wants to sort of check out our dulcet tones, then they know where to find us.
Excellent. How did your City journey come about? When did you first start following the club?
Probably fairly recently compared to a lot of City fans. So I grew up in Essex, and when you live in Essex as a football fan, there's only 2 ways that goes. That's West Ham or Tottenham. So I grew up as a West Ham fan, and I came down to Exeter for university, and just started going to the games there, and I really loved it because, and I think it really showed the sort of difference between Premier League football and lower league football. I just instantly felt more welcome and accommodated at Exeter City, and I thought that it was a fantastic example of a community club, and I just really enjoyed the atmosphere and everything, and how much more involved you felt compared to following a team that has millions and billions of pounds that don't need fans, but you just feel less valued by your club. And so yeah, I started going. I think my first game was back in 2015. It was Exeter 2, Crawley 2, with both Tom and Alex Nichols getting the goals that day. So things have changed a bit since then. Half the ground has changed. We've been to Wembley 3 times. Just after I started watching City, we obviously had the trip up to Anfield, which was an amazing experience as well. And I've been really fortunate to see a lot of the young players come through the academy, the likes of Ollie Watkins and Ethan Ampadu, just amazing talents. And I think that's definitely a difference between Premier League football and lower league football as well. So with the Premier League, obviously you want to see young players come through the academy and do well, but there's a lot more sense of pride with the academy players I've seen at Exeter. I feel like the fans have been there with those players as part of the journey, whereas you don't really get that as much with the Premier League. But yeah, I was hooked ever since I came, even after a 2-2 draw.
Seems to be. I mean, our form against Crawley hasn't been, too great over the past few years, so I'm not surprised. Current times, I mean, no one could have predicted, the situation we're in now. But have you been able to keep up to date with the games? Have you watched them on iFollow, and what have you made of it? I guess.
Yeah, it's bizarre, obviously, but I think that in a way, we're quite lucky that this has all happened now, as opposed to sort of 4 or 5 years ago, because if it happened then without sort of the infrastructure of iFollow and all that sort of stuff, then fans would be really disconnected from lower league football. And I can even see, a situation where maybe the leagues would have been stopped and this season might not have happened. So I think it's, despite everything that's going on and despite fans not being able to be there at St James Park, I think that it's good at least that we can watch the games. And yeah, I have been watching them on iFollow. Obviously, Sky Sports as well for the playoffs back in the summer. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, not as much as if I'd been to the games myself, but it's a different experience. But it has been enjoyable, and it gives you some sort of connection to the club still, which is good.
Absolutely. I mean, win, a draw, and a defeat so far in the first 3 matches. I mean, have you made? I mean, they've all been, relatively close games that could have gone either way, I think, as well, and some strong performances from some of our younger players.
Yeah, there's a lot to take from the first few games. I think that we really weren't handed any favours from the fixture generator early on, with 3 really tough games and another one coming up at the weekend as well. So tough games, and really 4 points from 3 games, I'm quite happy with that. I think that if at the end of the season you look back and you think, Salford, Mansfield and Port Vale, 4 points from those games, we'll take that, because hopefully we can do better against some of the teams who aren't going to be nearer the top of the table come the end of the season. So yeah, and obviously the academy players, that's been probably every City fan's highlight so far this season. Joel Randall and Josh Key getting their first goals for the club has been fantastic. And just like I said, the pride of seeing those young players come through is something that I think all City fans have. So yeah, it's been a mixed start. I think that we've still got some issues to iron out defensively. We're conceding some soft goals early on in games, which we really need to address. But positives there for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's early days, but faced league leaders on Saturday, and Cambridge United, haven't conceded yet this season, looking very strong. They've got former City loanee Robbie Cundy at the back, who's performing well. I mean, what are you expecting from them?
Yeah, kind of the surprise package early on, really, Cambridge. But yeah, definitely a tough side. They've recruited quite smartly, whereas a lot of teams have gone out and spent big bucks this season with the likes of Bolton and Mansfield, splashing the cash. Cambridge have gone a bit more quietly about their business, and they've brought in, as you say, the likes of Robbie Cundy, Wes Houlihan as well, who's a great talent, and it's really good to be able to see players of that calibre in League Two. So it's going to be a tough game. They scored 8 goals already this season, so yeah, I'm expecting them to come with some attacking flair. But we've been quite good in attack ourselves, so maybe some goals in this one.
It's tough as well, because obviously you kind of lose that home advantage without the fans being there as well, don't you? So harder to predict at the moment, really. I mean, you look at how the Premier League games have gone over this weekend, and the majority were away wins, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just been goals galore in the Premier League, and actually across the whole football pyramid early on. So it is a bit of a strange season so far. Some odd results. We'll have to see how, whether that continues or whether it sort of evens itself out. But yeah, it's a tough one to predict. I think I'd be happy with a draw against league leaders, but if we really want to sort of kick on and make a statement of intent, then a win on Saturday would be great.
You just took away my last question there, but I'm going to have to pressure for an actual score prediction.
Oh,
no one ever gets these right either.
No. There's been goals. I think it will be a draw. I think 2-2. I'll be happy with that.
take that. Well, hopefully you'll enjoy watching it on iFollow as well.
Will do, will do.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Scott.
That's all for today's show. Remember, if you haven't already, there's still time to pick up your match pass for today's game for just £10. Of course, season ticket holders, you know you can get that for free. And if you're not watching it, make sure you follow the game on social media. That means there's one last thing to say, and that is, come on City!